Aloha and welcome to another mini spirit chat session. Today I'm going to be talking about how can you tell if you're on the right track spiritually speaking. A lot of people think that as they embark on a new spiritual journey or they're experiencing a spiritual transition of some sort or a spiritual awakening, they think it's going to be feeling all wonderful and or that it might have its ups and downs, but that they're mostly going to feel better, when that's a little bit of a misconception because that's why it's a journey. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about how can you tell then, if you're on this journey that may be having some bumpy roads, how can you tell if you're on the right track? There are some really good indicators when it comes to being able to tell if you're on the right track. One of the first indicators is you become more sensitive to your environment and the people around you. And the reason for that is you're starting to be more aware of your spiritual body. And when you become more aware of your spiritual body is the part of you that reads energy. People, places, things, your environment, that is all made up of energy. So when you begin to feel that, you become more hypersensitive to the environment and people around you and things that you're experiencing, where you may have been not really noticing some things before, but now you feel like you're a lot more aware when you at your workplace maybe, or when you meet people, or just in your own environment in general. So if you're becoming more sensitive, and that could mean a lot of different things. It can mean you just feel it, you feel anxious, you might feel a lot of different emotions where you're feeling kind of moody up and down. You might be feeling like you want to maybe cry at some moment or something. Like you might be feeling just a lot of sensitivities, or some people experience like a sadness sometimes when they come across different people or different environments or different situations, and that you're not going to be experiencing necessarily bad things all the time, but I notice that people definitely tend to brush off the good feelings when they're sensitive to their environment, because everybody thinks, oh yeah, that's just great, and then they don't really think much of it. But they definitely become more aware of their environment and their sensitivities to that environment if they're feeling not so awesome and more emotional or more sad or whatever. That's when they go, what is wrong with me? Something doesn't feel right. The second thing, which ties into the first thing, is you may not like what you feel. So that's another thing that is really, really good indicator. You might be feeling frustrated, tired, irritated, or that sort of thing. But as you become more sensitive to the environment around you, one of the analogies I like to make on that is, imagine it that you've been walking around with shoes on your entire life. You've never gone barefoot before. And all of a sudden, you're asked to take off your shoes and walk barefoot, for like the rest of your life or something. And at first, you're going to be like, wow, this feels really good to have like air and be able to feel the ground and whatnot, and be able to feel grass and different things in the warmth of the sun. But the longer that you do that, if you're not taking proper protection or being aware of how these things affect you, which I think is a very good analogy, because people will become sensitive to their environment, but then they will not pay attention to how their environment is affecting them. So then the ground might start feeling prickly or hurting, or you might get calluses, and you might get sunburned and different things like that. So then you may not like what you're feeling so much because of the sensitivities, if you ignore how the environment affects you. The next thing that happens, if you can tell if you're and you might just be experiencing some of these things, it's not always all of the things. As you begin to tune into your spiritual body, and you know this by feeling more sensitive to your environment, and you also may know this because you're not loving all the things that you're feeling, people around you will notice a shift. Anytime that anybody begins to become more in tune with their spiritual body, People who are close to them, workers, family, friends, they will notice. They always tend to notice. Sometimes they're super stoked and like, wow, you look different, you seem different, you act different. But the opposite can happen also. And just to wrap up, if they're like, you feel different and everything's great, those are people in your life who have good intentions for you, and they support the positive energy. They have good energy. But there will many times be other people in your life who don't really like the shift that you're having, and so you might notice that you're having a hard time connecting with those people. You may notice that their reactions to some of the things that you're doing are kind of extreme. You may not have anything in common with those people. You may notice that you begin to grow apart. So it'll just depend on what type of people that you surround yourself with, whether you will grow closer and they'll be like, wow, I kind of want to do what you're doing, or you seem so good, we're really excited for you. Or if you're going to find that you're really going to want to separate from those people. But another way to tell is basically your relationships will kind of change as well. They will morph into something different. You'll notice that you're not feeling as close to, or you will feel closer to some people. So you will have some shifts happening in your relationships. Which brings us to the next one, which is you will feel an urge to change potentially jobs, the people who you are hanging around with, etc. But when you experience the urge to change, which is a super common sign of, raising your vibration, the key here is many times you will run into blocks. And that's a very good indicator if you're on the right track spiritually speaking. What do I mean by that? I mean, let's just say that you decided to switch jobs, for instance, and you keep running into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. If that happens, you're definitely probably on the right track spiritually speaking. People often think, well, this means I'm not supposed to go this direction. Not true. Because when you start really working with your spiritual body in the spiritual realm and raising your vibration, many times you will get what's called spirit interference, which is going to be the next thing you'll be able to tell. And with spirit interference, many times there are spirits that can throw up roadblocks and, work against your development and work against your raising your vibration. And if they can continue to throw enough roadblocks in your way, many times you will stop going that direction and you will feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to go that way. And you will keep with your routine that was keeping your vibration low. So if your vibration is raising, roadblocks will be thrust at you all different kinds of ways. And so how can you tell the difference if a roadblock is trying to keep you from going that direction, which I know some of you will ask me, is if right in your chest center into the core of your soul, the change that you're trying to make in your life, or which direction you're trying to go, really feels good to your tummy and your chest area. You really, to the core of your being, feel light when you think about it. You feel kind of excited when you think about it. You feel positive. If you're getting any good vibes in the chest or the tummy area, when you think about shifting and changing out of whatever decision you're trying to make, if you have good vibes there, then roadblocks keep coming up, that's definitely an indication that you're on the right track, spiritually speaking. Which brings us to the last one, which I touched on a little bit, and that is spirit interference. I get this so much, people around me just roll their eyes at this point, because we all know what's happening every time this happens. And I'm sure I've talked about this before. If I start to do something to raise other people's vibrations, such as open a class, or maybe do a talk, or do some consulting, or do some type of, I don't know, major different podcasting or something, I kid you not, everything goes wrong. My mic will break, my computer will shut down, my phone won't be working. It's just laughable anymore to me and my staff and the people who help me produce all this wonderful material. Every time all my stuff starts breaking, everyone's like, oh, you're definitely on the right track. You're heading the right direction. It's just a joke anymore. So if you're finding that you're running into all kinds of electronic interference, maybe you're applying for a job and the website keeps shutting down, or you're trying to plan a trip and time after time your email won't go through, or you get disconnected on the phone consistently to your travel agent, whatever, you get the drift there. Spirit interference loves to mess with you when you're on the right track, spiritually speaking. So hopefully you enjoyed this mini podcast. If you did, make sure to subscribe below. I will be doing lots of them, or a few a week at least, and so you don't want to miss any. Definitely, like I said, subscribe below. I also have some other cool things down below. If you haven't been a part of my spirit community, you might like that. We have a lot of discussions. It's free. And until next time, hopefully you are on the right track, and now you'll be able to tell. Aloha.